Now we spoke about font styles. I mean, the way how font looks with the font names and the font style variants, all that. We'll see the font sizes now. Now, when it comes to size, there's two way you could give font sizes. One is the absolute way and the relative way. Remember the absolute path and relative path, how they differ. So this is also the same. So absolute and relative, it means the same throughout the programming context. Now, I'm gonna say font size is 15 pixel. Now, let's see what happens to this text when I give 15 pixel. When I give 15 pixel, the text changes, right? Let me change it to probably 25 pixels. So this is how it looks, 25 pixels. The problem with this is the size that you see, 25 pixels of each text that you see, this will not look well in a different display. So this is a laptop width and height are different from a mobile's, the smartphone's width and height. Just think of it. The width of the laptop is larger than the height of the laptop, whereas in the smartphone world, the height of the smartphone is more than the width of the smartphone. So in those cases, there is definitely, just think of it. I mean, the width that I see in my PC now, it's almost, it's just covering like 25% of the display. But just think of this text in your smartphone. Man, it might have covered like 90% of the display. So it might not look well. And there is also another problem when you use the relative numbers. So relative values like this. Pixel is pixel, right? It's the same pixel size when it comes into different displays. Now, when you go to settings, every user has a option to change how the browser looks or how their OS settings are. Now, some what they could do is they might also go to appearance and change the font size to very small. Now, if you look at it, all these texts they've changed to very small, but this text didn't change at all. Now, what happens if someone wants, let's say we're back to the initial text size. Now, if someone wants a very large text because he feels that all these texts are very small to see and he wants to see large fonts in large formats because he doesn't has a very good eyesight. Now, when he says very large, all these texts change to very large except this one. This one stays the same because we gave a real absolute number. Now, what happens if I give a relative number here? Now, there is something called a EM unit. EM unit. Now, I'll tell you what this EM unit does. EM always takes what's browser default. Now, it'll look for browser default font size and that it will multiply that to this number. So if I'm saying to EM, browser's default font size into 2 is what is applied here. I know what the browser's default font size is, but that's not important. So this is a browser default font size into 2. So you could even have this as 1. If you say 1, this is a browser default font size. And let's see what happens. I mean, this will actually look different in your smartphone because in your smartphone, the browser's default font size will differ. Now, let me tell you the number. In the desktop world, the browser's default font size is 16 pixel. In the browser smartphone or say Chrome smartphone, default font size. So this is 16 pixels. I don't think this is for smart. I mean, this is for mobile. Okay. These numbers, right? Whatever this number is, whether it is for smartphone or for desktop, just think of it that it multiplies to that. So if I have one EM, now imagine 16 pixel is for the desktop, for the browser's default. Now browser default for smartphone should be somewhere around like 7 pixel. Now if you look this in a smartphone, it will be 7 pixel. We could also test this, the browser setting. See, this looks fine here. But what happens if I make this 25 pixels like last time? So it makes a difference if you look at the same font in a smartphone. I could show that with the settings here. Just look at the settings now. There's another successful video. I'm going to take this out and say, I'm going to say medium. So it reduced. Very small, even more reduced. Very large, it increased. So whatever the end user changes, he would be able to see those changes. Now, if you just keep it very rigid, like in the pixels, that won't change even to smartphones or any other displays. So it is always a very good idea to use absolute values while programming.